Overnight, the outrage over an election, sparking protests from coast to coast and cities in between.
The only way we can lose, in my opinion, I really mean this, Pennsylvania, is if cheating goes on.
In that final result versus the final polls that were conducted, as an aggregate, it was a considerable differential. It will be larger this time.
It will be larger this time.
Yeah, about that.
How did you cope?
Alright everyone, as you may have seen, there's both very good news and very bad news. The very good news is that Donald Trump has fairly clearly won re-election.
Denial can be an ugly thing.
I think the Democrats are probably in full-on mental breakdown over the fact that they are losing support from the black community.
Yeah, about that.
We're seeing a transformation, particularly in the South, in states like Georgia that are usually solid red states that normally we would not be talking about Georgia as a state that is a significant in play in a presidential election. But we're in play because organizers on the ground, many of them associated with the work of Black Lives Matter and other social justice movements, have actually been organizing over the last decade. And now what you see is a result in Georgia.
Why did all those blacks in Georgia have the perception that people voting for Trump will deny atrocities that happen to black folk? Hey, Tim Pool, can you help us out with that?
Based on the video I've seen, based on the statements I've read, I am inclined to believe that while this is a horrifying tragedy, I do not believe it is a story of two white men who chased and ran down a man based on his race or anything like that. There's actually good reason, according to the New York Times, to suggest these men actually did have a reason
To believe that Ahmaud Arbery had committed a crime.
Yeah, about that.
The lead investigator in the case revealing one of the suspects overheard the man who shot Arbery call him the N-word after the shooting. The lead investigator for GBI's investigation, Richard Dial, also revealed this isn't the first time Travis McMichael has used the word, saying investigators found multiple instances of Travis McMichael using the word on social media and in messages.
But one particular one that comes to mind is he made the statement that he loved his job because he was out on a boat and there weren't any N-words anywhere.
Today, we gotta talk about the family of Breonna Taylor receiving a $12 million settlement in their wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Louisville, Kentucky. She was shot and killed by the police during a raid on her house. Now, the media are phrasing it in a way that did not actually happen.
Well, you see, Anthony Bryan Logan, there's just one teensy-weensy little problem with your theory. You see, the grand jury, you know, those people who were supposed to be deciding criminal charges like murder for the cops, they had some pretty interesting things to say.
Grand juror number 1 and number 2 say what prompted them to ultimately speak out was that press conference held by Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron, which they insist falsely represented their position on potential indictments for the officers involved in Breonna Taylor's death.
While there are 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law, these charges are not applicable to the facts before us because our investigation showed, and the grand jury agreed, that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in the return of deadly fire.
When he stated that there were 6 possible murder charges and that the grand jury had agreed that those didn't apply, the first time I heard the word 6 possible murder charges was in that news conference.
It wasn't presented to you in the grand jury deliberations?
No. And personally, when I do something, I take responsibility for it. We had not done that.
I really felt that this was all Cameron. This was up to him. We didn't get a choice in that at all.